Welcome back to another video. Today we are talking about A.J. Brown and his top landing spots after the Philadelphia Eagles said to this morning that they are going to try to trade him before June 1st or after June 1st. So I was like, let's talk about some potential landing spots. I know one we're going to talk about, who's the main one, is the New England Patriots, who are a top landing spot for them. They're going to be the first team we talk about. The New England Patriots. They're a team who needs a number one wide receiver right now. Really something they were kind of missing that whole season, even though they still went to the Super Bowl. But they were missing a dominant target on offense. For why I think he fits on the Patriots, it gives the Patriots a good number one receiver. It takes pressure off of Kayshon Boutte and Demario Douglas. And it doesn't really force them to be the number ones, which at this point in there do not really have been the top number ones. And I think if the Patriots get AJ Brown, well, it's not really think it keeps them in the Super Bowl contender spot. And I think out of all the things I'm going to talk about, it's more realistic for them to get him. If I was the Patriots, I'll go out and get him after just coming off of a Super Bowl run. So right now, New England's my number one team to go get him. The other team we're going to talk about is the Cleveland Browns. Now, interesting choice of why I picked the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland is an offense away from being a Super Bowl contender, realistically. You still have Myles Garrett, the best defensive player in the league. And the defense every year is always good. They've always just been an offense away from being that Super Bowl contender, which I don't think Cleveland is in that mindset of winning right now. They're still rebuilding. But if I was Cleveland and I just want to kind of throw something up in the air, I'll go get A.J. Brown. You add him to a solid wide receiver core with Jerry Jeudy and Isaiah Bond. And you could trade your 6th overall pick, which I don't know how expensive A.J. Brown is going to be. I doubt you have to trade your 6th overall pick. You do have two first round picks. You have the 6th pick and you have the 24th. I'll trade the 24th and like a third rounder, and probably have some picks for next year. Because you do have the 24th pick that you got from Jacksonville last year, so you could potentially use that in a bargain to get him. Right now, I don't think the Browns would go all in. Now that I think about it, if I was the Browns, I probably would go. Because if you don't have to trade your 6th overall pick, you get that 6th overall pick, draft Maui Noah, and with the 24th pick, I'll trade it to the Eagles. Then the Eagles have 2 first rounders. They can easily draft a wide receiver, defend. Again, the Eagles don't need a lot, but they're very great at drafting. So if I'll let them have that pick, the 24th pick, for AJ Brown, and then I have Maui Noah, and then I have AJ Brown coming into the season. That's not too bad of a squad, and at least that gives your team. It gives the Browns a chance at winning. At least making the playoffs. I won't say winning, but it gives them a chance at least getting to the playoffs. They could be a 10-7, 11-6 type of team with that type of talent. If I was the Browns, I would do it. So, I'll pick the Browns number. I won't put them in my top 3 of like realistic teams to actually go get them. Because like I said, I think Cleveland's more of in a rebuilding phase still. So, next, we have the Chicago Bears. Another interesting choice. They traded DJ Moore. But for the Chicago Bears, I think after trading DJ Moore, they kind of did it so they can get more of their young talent to be their number ones. You still have Romeo Odunze. I said Romeo. Yeah, it's Romeo Odunze. And I forgot the wide receiver from who came from Missouri. Luther Burden. You have those two who can step up. But if I am the Bears, because you gotta remember, AJ Brown is not like old or like he's still in some. I won't say the peak of his career, but he is still someone more, definitely more usable. Definitely can be a top 5, top 10 receiver in the league. So if I'm the Bears, I'll go get him. Because this is more of you get him, you put yourself in a position to go kind of win in like the next 2 to 3 years. That's why I think like teams like the Browns and the Bears and one other team I'm going to talk about is kind of going to be more so the reasons why I don't think they would do it, because I think they're trying to let more of their younger talent play. But I'll take, if I'm the Chicago Bears, it'll be a just more of just asking Philly what do they want. If it's too much, then you course you back out of trade. If it's not too much, if he's not too expensive, then it's something you can gamble on. So if I'm the Bears, I'll put it more so in the middle if I was them. It is more asking what do they want, and then what am I getting in return other than AJ Brown? Is it just AJ Brown, or do I get AJ Brown like a third rounder or a fourth rounder, like something like that? So that's it with the Bears. Next, we move on to the Houston Texans. This is where it can get interesting. Granted, I don't think the Texans are probably at the bottom of this list. Granted, you don't know. I'm saying more of you doing it because you don't know how Tank Dell is going to be when he comes back. Coming off of his injury, you have Nico Collins, who is still, of course, your number one. But if you can bring AJ Brown here and then kind of have Tank Dell slowly be that third receiver until he fully gets back to healthy, then it's something I would at least try to look at, and at least try to get as much help as possible for CJ Stroud, because you have to see what type of year he's going to have coming off of the year that wasn't so good for him, really. So, and I don't even know how much the Texans have to give. I know they do have that first round pick, but do they even want to give it up? Because they do need some defense, and they do need some offensive linemen. So it's the same thing with the Bears on the Texans. Just kind of ask what they want for him. If he's too expensive, then you just like you can back out of the trade, especially with the Texans, because like I said, you still have Nico Collins and Tank Dell. So it's just seeing what they want and what they need. Next, we have the Buffalo Bills. This is a team who I think should have gotten him. They still can. I think if you go all in, you just have to, like, if I'm Buffalo, I would do it. They're my number 2 of teams. I think that's realistically a spot for them. Still, even with the Bills getting DJ Moore, because I think Keon Coleman is going to be a big trade piece for the Buffalo Bills if it comes to them trading any player at this point. I would trade him because it seems like they don't really even want him on the team at this point. I would trade him so you just don't have a bunch of receivers just kind of sitting in that room, because you still have, I can't remember if Curtis Samuel stayed or not. You still have Shakir, so if you add Shakir, you add Brown. You already know it's gonna be AJ Brown, DJ Moore, and then Shakir, and then Keon Coleman's gonna fall out of the lineup. So might as well trade him so you don't just have him sitting there. And then the Eagles get another solid receiver back in Keon Coleman, and an Eagles team who knows how to develop talent would do something with him, of course. But if I'm the Bills, I would do it. Kind of, if they don't, because that could be their 2 plans. My plan was for them in the draft to try to trade to get 2 first-round picks, so they get the wide receiver from Texas A&M, then the DN, the edge rusher from Texas A&M in the first round, or you trade that pick and get AJ Brown. In any scenario, I feel like these teams will have to trade a first-round pick to kind of get AJ Brown. I don't know how expensive he is. I don't know how viable teams will look at him, especially since all the complaining and then the drop he has in the playoffs. Like, I don't know how much they will take that into consideration. But I do think it's something to look into if you're Buffalo. And next, for my third team, who I think is more realistic, is the Las Vegas Raiders. Now think about it. You get Mendoza, you bring AJ Brown, that could be a solid year 1 team. You saw what they did on defense with signing all those players. You get AJ Brown, you get Mendoza, you have Genty in the backfield. The O-line could use a lot of work, but for a young team, having AJ Brown wouldn't be the worst thing. I think it's more realistic because they have the better package out of a lot of these teams to get him. So if you're the Raiders, I would probably go do it. But I think they'll give up next year. No, I wouldn't do it if I was the Raiders. You're building. I just think you got to give, for them, it's more costly for them to give up a first rounder than somebody else. I'm not talking about like their number 1 pick for this year. I'm talking about like next year. The Raiders, you just keep building off of the young talent that you have, really. And I think kind of the same thing I would say for Cleveland, but I think Cleveland has more of a gamble to go get him. Because you like if you're Cleveland, you want to win at least in the next 4 to 5 years. At least make yourself look like a winning team. Because you don't know how long Miles Garrett is going to sit through all of this. Which I thought at this point he's someone they should have probably been traded just to get more picks and stuff like that. Because when you trade Miles Garrett, you're going to get a first round pick from him, if not 2 first round picks. So realistically, I'll put the Raiders at 4. I think if I had to say more realistic, it'd be the Patriots, Bills, Browns, Bears, Texans. No, Raiders and then Texans. Realistically, I think he's going to go to New England because that's the spot that everybody kind of already has him to go. And I feel like if a trade is made, it's going to be New England because New England is the most desperate team to go get him right now. But if any names are else to jump in there, I think it will be these teams. No, more so, that's probably not the Texans and the Raiders. Maybe not the Bears, but probably the Browns and the Bills. I feel like they're teams who could sneak in that conversation. But those are my top spots for A.J. Brown to go. Like I said, realistically, I think he's going to go to the Patriots. And whatever team he goes for, I'm going to cover that and just tell you how their offense is going to work and everything with that him being there. And realistically, I think of all the team schemes he fit the most is with the Patriots. Drake May is somebody who likes throwing the deep ball way downfield, and especially since they have Mac Hollins and you add A.J. Brown, that gives you a lot more to handle when you go against man coverage. While you still have Demario Douglas and Kayshon Boutte, who's more of people who know how to sit in zones and find zones and areas to get open. So it's not the worst thing he goes to New England. I think that's the best spot for him if he wants to win. And New England just went to the Super Bowl. They get A.J. Brown. Granted, a lot of people don't even have New England being that good next year. I still have them being good. They get A.J. Brown. There's a good chance they go back to the Super Bowl. But yeah, that is it. This is going to be a very interesting draft Thursday, and it's going to be a very interesting little discussion with the Eagles and A.J. Brown. I knew he was going to get traded at some point because tension was just boiling over there. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you on the next one. And the next one is probably going to be me talking about college football. I want to talk about LSU's team coming into this year with Lane Kiffin and the additions they got. So I think that's going to be the next video. Either that one or a Florida State video talking about potential coach candidates if Mike Norvell gets fired. But we're going to see. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you on the next one and have a very, very blessed day.